Welcome to Lunchbox. I'm Asha Tanner.
I'm Rebecca Butler.
And today we're going to be talking about all things nerdy.
Gotta fix you up. And so good week, bad week?
Pretty good week. It's been really hot in Toronto, but
The muggy,
dealing with it.
humid, and
yeah.
the acne.
Oh, oof.
We all know that feeling, don't we, girls and boys and non-binary pals? We all know that feels. Coming up on the show, we have Lou and a certain guest. And they're gonna be talking about Warhammer. The guest today on the show is going to be Denis Ortiz. So we're gonna have some fun with that.
Sounds exciting. I'm ready. So we have a lot of things re-releasing soon, which is super exciting. Lots of you millennials, people who are young, who like old games, or older people who love video games. We had Crash Bandicoot release a while ago. That was pretty cool. And now we have Spyro being released soon. This September, I believe the 21st, and everyone's quite excited about that.
But there's a little bit of controversy now about it. Not like controversy per se, but there's more discussion because on the physical copy, it actually only includes one game, the very first. It doesn't include the second and the third like the Crash Bandicoot did. PlayStation Network, I believe, is making it a downloadable content that is recognized through the disc. Now, people are wondering why, and what do you think about this?
If there's anything that has to be purchased later on, I feel like that's a huge downer because everyone's looking forward to, you know, all the content you had before and kind of limited to that, kind of a nostalgia trip. It's very strange because we have Crash Bandicoot who had the trilogy all on one disc. So you can just hop right into it, go on your nostalgia path. But now it's like, hey, I can hop into one game, but then I'm gonna take a bit of time to download the next ones so I can continue. And it's a bit frustrating. Kind of don't understand why they're doing it, but
possibility it could be because of updates, maybe game glitch fixes, maybe like they perfected the first game, but they didn't quite like nail the second and third. That's what I think could be the reason. I'm still not huge on board with it because I mean, I'm old school. I like just owning things, books, manga. Like I much prefer it on my bookshelf than versus like on a digital iPad.
Yeah. It also means that they could be working on the games right until the release date, which I'm not excited about. I'm very much a fan of make sure you get the game right and then you can release it. I don't mind waiting a bit of extra time to make sure it's perfect and ready for me. But
yeah, this is a good point.
What can you do?
Speaking of perfect, or imperfect in this case, we're gonna talk a little bit more about the Titans live action show. Now, in regards to this, there's been a lot of discussion from the set leaks all the way up to like the small mini teaser to now, thanks to San Diego Comic-Con, the official full-length trailer. What do you think about that trailer?
Now, of course, a lot of people have very strong opinions. You have Starfire, who is not orange. We have, you know, a bit of questionable character looks within the actors. I am not a huge fan of Robin.
Batman.
I know a lot of people have very strong opinions about Starfire as well. I am very open. I like to just keep an open mind going into it. I have not watched it yet, so, you know, we'll wait and see what happens, but not much we can do right now. I would love an orange Starfire.
Well, I mean, in the trailer, she did technically kind of like glow orange when she activated her powers. It's not just like her alien skin tone, which I mean, I'm not too upset about at all. Honestly, the most concerning thing for me is Raven. I want to know why she doesn't know who she is, how like, I know that they're trying to make it more modern, but she was essentially raised by the monks of Azeroth. Thus why she got her chant Azeroth Metro Zinthos. Right? So now she doesn't know, you know, she's the daughter of this higher, greater demon. And she's essentially, I wonder if maybe like they blocked her memories. Maybe that's their little loophole that they're gonna play off of.
Yeah. I'm also really not digging her look at all. I'd like to keep an open mind, but the hair is dreadful.
It's the iconic peak. She doesn't have the iconic peak.
She just looks like a super edgy high schooler.
My emo days.
I'm just not down for that.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Now we have lots of cosplayers which are doing fantastic jobs. Everyone's saying, why hire actors and do a terrible job with their look when you have cosplayers who can get it spot on, right to the T.
Speaking of, there's a meme frequenting the internet ever since the teaser, the screenshots from filming to it's resurfaced now ever since the full trailer came out. And as Starfire, we have Becks of Hearts. And for the Raven, we have Kinpatsu cosplay. And then the very last cosplayer, our Beast Boy, is actually Jay Slant. So we have two that are a little bit more, not as popular on Instagram versus Kinpatsu, who's everyone knows Kinpatsu. I mean, come on.
It's also a great way to support local talent, which is fantastic. But
we'll see how it plays out, Hollywood. Come on, get your act together. If us cosplayers can do it in under $200, you can too.
Oh yeah. Now, April 2018, we had Avengers Infinity War come out. Spoiler alert, but if you haven't watched it, shame on you. But if you stayed till after the end credits, you had a little bit of a sneak peek into something we might see in the future. Now, we saw Nick Fury get snapped out of existence, but what happened after it?
There seemed to be a device hidden in his vehicle, and he managed to activate it just before turning into dust. Great, thanks. Stardust, some would say, because that symbol was in fact a star, the Nova Star, who we know from Guardians of the Galaxy first and second. They more reference it in the second, but in the first, they had a more prominent role. They're essentially like an intergalactic government / police force / like detective agency, and this alludes to the possibility of us having Captain Marvel, which we have actually seen some screenshots of her costume while filming, some little sneak peek shots. So what do you think of like her look right now?
I'm very much a fan of it. I really like the character in general. She's gorgeous. I super dig her short hair look. So gorgeous. Generally, I don't know a ton about her, but I'm really excited to find out more about her.
Yeah, and in the cinematic, she's starting off with long hair, but I have a feeling that as like it progresses and it gets more serious, we might see that, iconic short-haired look from the comic books. Now, my personal theory, and again, a little bit of spoiler warnings, but I have a theory that she might actually take up the mantle of Captain America. Yeah, because as we all know, Chris Evans is ending his contract soon, so who better to take up a mantle of Captain America than Captain Marvel, who is Universal Intergalactic Captain Badass Woman.
Love it.
Life. So we'll see a little bit about that. Now, we've also had a couple of little Easter eggs popping up here and there in the Infinity movie. One that might have eluded one of the big bad guys to having a run-in with Captain Marvel via a sash. But yeah, we'll see how that all plays out in the end. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, you guys. When we come back, we'll get to see Lou get his first little Warhammer lesson.
Tales from the dark web.
This one time on the dark web, I found a do-it-yourself tonsillectomy kit for like $30. It had an instructional video too.
Ugh.
Hey, you guys!
Red light. You wanna get your swears in?
I hope so.
Can't really swear.
What?
Like.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Lunchbox in our little segment called Hey You Guys. I'm joined by a friend of the show, Denis Ortiz, who is a miniatures painting expert. We're gonna talk a little Warhammer.
That's right.
So first off, did Warhammer, the game, basically start you into all this like miniature stuff?
Yes.
Painting.
Yes. It was the first miniatures that I ever actually got. During the time, it was like a really long time ago, the game wasn't popular yet.
Yeah.
So there weren't any like websites or anything of that sort, and all we had was a catalog of those miniatures.
Okay.
And the only thing I knew about the game is basically it involved miniatures, but you played them like chess.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately after the catalog, me and my friend totally got hooked on the art of the miniatures.
Yeah.
And that day, we immediately found the local store that actually was supposed to be selling those miniatures.
Yeah.
And we decided to make a trip to that store. And during that time, it was actually one of the biggest winters in history
In like Toronto, so you just had to like
and of
do
course,
something
and
indoors.
of course, yes, we were like really young, so we didn't have like a car or anything like
Yeah.
that. So we started just walking during like a huge blizzard towards that store to purchase a few miniatures.
Okay, so take me through like the basic rules for playing Warhammer, because when I was a kid, the only thing I played was like battleships.
Oh, you struck my battleship.
Battleship.
You ever played battleships?
Yes.
Yes, I had like those. Then there was
yes.
other like snakes and ladders and all, but nothing this like insane.
Yes, we're all familiar with yes, but it's nothing like that. This is actually on a massive scale. So you have like a huge gaming tables that are all covered in like different sceneries of like buildings.
So do you guys
forests.
have to like set that up in your basement or your house, or where do you even play them?
It used to be people did it at their homes, but as the more popularity of the game grew, more stores started opening up. So there's lots of right now gaming stores that provide everything for you, from terrain to huge tables. So
Yeah.
all you have to do is just come in, bring your armies, and
challenge people.
And just challenge people.
So
yes.
just so like
That's right.
let's play.
That's right. That's right.
And what does the winner get? Kind of.
Bragging rights.
Bragging rights.
Bragging
All right.
rights that you're the best strategist.
All right, so these are like intricately painted. They're like insane, and they're tiny, and the details of the painting is like crazy, right?
Yes, it took about 20 years of practice of me
You've been doing
painting
this for 20
miniatures
years.
for 20 years. Yes, been trying to paint basically all kinds of armies. Like during like all that year, I collected every army that Warhammer actually has to offer, and there's lots of armies. So over here you just see just 2 armies, and they have like huge selection of different
So this
armies.
is like kind of like sci-fi based, right?
Yes, this is a sci-fi based, and like the armies that they can provide is like it caters to so many different people. So you have, for example, army of Tyranids, which if you're like a huge fan of aliens, or like some kind of like a Zerg, and that appeals to you, so you can start collecting that army. If you're a fan of humans and tanks, so you can start collecting Imperial Guards.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of Terminator, like the movie, if you've ever seen it, they have army that has actual miniatures that look so similar.
Like the skeletal, whatever, like
Exactly. They're
T-1000s
called
or-
Necrons. Another army like I can think of is called Tau. It's basically like Japanese robots, like huge robots, and
Like
everything is
Gundam,
like
like,
Japanese
whatever.
based. Exactly. And so just a few of different armies, and all of them have like different statistics of how the army works and plays.
Okay, so earlier you were telling me about those rapey guys over there, and how they created their minions, their soldiers. You want to elaborate on that?
Are you sure it's rated?
I'm pretty
rated
sure
R,
we're
I
gonna
don't
get
know.
aired at night, so
Okay,
we just
so
swore a lot earlier.
Hopefully
so-
not a lot of people are going to be watching.
Exactly. Well, there'll be. Well, hopefully they'll watch,
Oh
but
my
not
goodness,
kids.
so much pressure.
All right.
Okay, so like think of this army as a Zerg. So when they invade planets, they send infiltrators, which are called gene stealers. Those are the kind of like a bluish guys.
Yeah.
And what they do is once they land on the planets, they need to start reproducing, right?
Okay.
So they, I guess, kidnap women
And
start like aliens. They start impregnating them. Sure.
It's wrong, but it happens.
Yeah, yes, it happens. And eventually they start multiplying, and so they start multiplying, and they have about 3 or 4 different types of what do you call it?
Evolution.
Evolution. That's correct. And the first evolution is they look a little bit of
closer to
the aliens, but as the evolution progresses, they start to looking more and more towards looking like humans.
Yeah, like the humanoid shape. They resemble human, or there's like a difference. You can
just like a shape of the human. So, for example, if the army is coming in, so you don't see monsters coming from the far. So, but nonetheless, they're still monsters.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the Imperial Guards would see humans at the distance, and eventually, once the population grows, those big guys.
The originals.
Yeah, the originals starts eating up the humanoids.
It's one way for population control, I guess.
Exactly.
Eat your children.
Exactly.
All right. So anyway, and these guys would just be your regular old human beings.
Yes,
right?
yes. The universe is vast, and in the universe they control the huge sections of basically the, what do you call it?
Section of the universe.
Sections of the universe, yes, and they try to conquer them as well, and they have like lots of.
So they conquer and then move on, and then.
Yes, they have like different worlds. They have like thousands of different worlds, and they're trying to also expand as well as the aliens.
Oh. So judging by the thickness of this book, I'm pretty sure that there's more than like a few thousand of these like miniatures, right? From like the planes to the tanks and whatever.
Yeah. There's way more monsters. It's just a small portion, so there's way more like tanks, infantry, different looking infantry that. Because humans also have different uniforms, because they come from different worlds, and each world has their own kind of uniform. So it's the same here. Like for example, like Russians and Americans, right? They would have different uniforms.
So out of all of that, all those thousands and thousands of miniatures that would have been created, how many in your 20 years of doing this you would say you've painted?
As many as the human population have the world, so thousands upon thousands of worlds. So
like the tiny human ones, like how long would that take you to paint?
Each person would probably take me about a day to paint.
Wow. Yeah, because the details are just insane.
Yeah. Well, like you have to also understand that when I start painting, right, you always start experimenting with different colors.
Yeah.
So like the first miniature usually always takes you the longest to make. But once you kind of figure out what kind of color you want them, like the pants to be, what kind of color you want the shorts to be, eventually you get all the colors that you want, and like the process starts a little bit faster. So instead of one miniature, you can like maybe paint like a squad of like 5 within a day. So it becomes a little bit faster once you get the hang of your test miniature.
So I'm interested in like the techniques you would use in painting all these.
Well, most of the miniatures that I use, most of the techniques that is my way of painting, I use airbrush. So lots of them begin with me starting applying
the coat. Like the basic coat of the miniature.
Like the whole miniature. So I find the color that I want my miniature to be, and I put.
And like I guess some brushing too involved. Like
yes, there's lots of.
Tiny brushes.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. For the eyes, for everything, you have to implement basically as many techniques as you know how to implement. The better your miniature is gonna turn out. So you can go from airbrushing to dry brushing to putting like layering or like stippling. I think it's what it's called.
Like
stippling. Like you put like little dots.
Yeah.
So like the more techniques you know, the better the miniature is gonna turn out.
Okay, so two questions, kind of. Do you have like something that you painted that is like the best one you've ever done? And then two, is there something that you want to paint, like a holy grail that you haven't painted yet that you really want?
Well, I painted, I think, all the miniatures that Warhammer ever produced from the 20 years, but the miniature that I was most proud is the one that basically started it all. So when my friend me and my friend went to that store during a huge blizzard, I picked up some Gretchens, which are like little small orcs.
Yeah.
And I painted those.
Man, I wish we had actually we do, but we have to do it in another segment. So Denis, you can follow him, do his art thing, do his miniatures, and if you guys want him to paint your stuff, let him do it, right?
That's right. I'm gonna be sharing all my techniques that I learned through 20 years of
You're basically like a
practice.
vet in this.
Yes, I'm the guru. I'm the painting guru.
So man, eventually your socials are gonna be there. Thank you for joining us. High five. Thank you for joining us in this segment. This is just part one of Denis. We'll have more with actually him showing us how he does his ting, painting the miniatures. So that's it for now. Thanks for joining us in Hey You Guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Tales from the dark web.
One time, when I was 13, I went on the dark web, and I got spam emails for Viagra.
Well, thanks for that, Denis. Looks like we are going to have to start our Warhammer collection.
And Lou is going to spend more money than he probably has on Warhammer collection.
And now we're going to head over to the Heroes World comic book review with Andre.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies, and welcome to my portion of the Lunchbox. It's Andre, and we are at location at my store, Heroes World. Again, new comic book day is the best day of the week, and as always, I'm going to give you my take on what's hot and what you should be reading. First up, the first family of comic books returns to Marvel. That's right, the Fantastic Four are back. After a 2-year hiatus, they return. And it is an emotional moment because, if you don't know, Reed and Sue and their 2 children made the ultimate sacrifice to save the Marvel Universe. Ben and Johnny were left alone on Earth, and they have been looking for the missing members of their family for some time. Flash forward to this issue, the Thing is ready to move on, and he proposes to his longtime girlfriend, but Johnny won't have it. He won't be his best man. How heartbreaking is that? He says Reed is the only one, and at the end of the issue, we see a cosmic symbol for the Fantastic Four. Marvel brings back these guys in glory. Dan Slott has been itching to write the Fantastic Four for some time, and this first issue is a must check out. Highly recommend this one from Marvel Comics. Image Comics brings us the 4th issue of Death or Glory, Rick Remender's awesome high-octane action tale about Glory, who's trying to do the right thing. But as we know, no good deed goes unpunished. She's trying to raise money to afford a liver transplant for her ailing father. And to do this, she has to do a crime. She's got to do a heist from her ex-husband who's into bad things. Of course, it all goes wrong, and in this issue, we have Glory, her friend Pablo, and Isabella escaping the mad organ-stealing criminal organization that has captured them. This book is crazy. High-octane chases. We've got crazy nuns with double axes chasing. We've got a guy wielding a cold ray like Mr. Freeze. This book is awesome. The art by Bengal is fantastic. And I can't tell you, it's such a heartwarming story because these guys are trying to do good, but everything is going wrong. This is the 4th issue, and I highly recommend it. If you love car chases, if you love action, and if you just love great art, this book is for you. DC Comics brings us a new story arc in Supergirl number 21. In Man of Steel, it was revealed that Krypton's demise was the ultimate result of a power-hungry, mad villain. Rogal Zar was responsible for the destruction of Krypton, and that is not sitting well with Kara Zor-El. She is out to find out why this monster did this to her planet, and without the blessing of Superman, she is going to take to the stars. But she's not going to do it alone. She goes after some information, and she goes to the Space Cops. Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, gives her her first clue and sets her on the path. But of course, she can't go into the stars alone. She goes to the Fortress of Solitude, packs up her ship, and is joined by Crypto the Super Dog. This is going to be a pretty interesting adventure, as it is revealed that the Guardians and the Green Lantern had some redacted information on this nefarious villain and his organization. What does the future hold for Kara? Well, we're gonna have to tune in to see, but I really dug this issue, and it's a great starting point if you just checked out the Man of Steel series from DC. Once again, that's Supergirl issue 21. One of comics' all-time great storytellers, Neil Gaiman, is returning to his Sandman books with this new series called the Sandman Universe. And wow, Sandman was such an influential book. It literally spawned hundreds of great characters, a whole new universe, and a new imprint from DC, starting the Vertigo line years and years ago. Now Gaiman has brought together a team of hand-picked artists and writers to move these stories forward. This book is the primer, it sets the stage, and the realm of the dreaming is cracking. Something is changing, and the Lord, the boss of the dreaming, is nowhere to be found. That's right, the Sandman, the King of Dreams, is missing, and everybody is on the lookout to find him. We have the Crow, because they know everything, searching. But what do they find? They find Lucifer trying something new. They find Timothy Hunter doing schoolwork, but something has gone amiss. His professor has been murdered. Lots of intrigue in this book, lots of magic, lots of reference to this great universe. And I gotta tell you, this book looked fantastic and it set the groundwork. If you've never read Sandman before, I do highly recommend it. But you could start here and know that the mystery is going to build in the 4 other series that'll be coming from DC Comics. The Dreaming is such a great universe. The Sandman, the King of Dreams, hiding or making you forget, because once you wake up from a dream, it's always just within your grasp and all his denizens can't find him. So where is this going? I cannot wait to see, because this book is pure imagination. All right, guys, thanks for joining me here. Those were my 4 picks of the week. And as always, there is tons more to see at your local comic shop, but I'm gonna kick it back to you at the studio.
Well, thank you very much, you guys. That's it for us this week. Please stay tuned for next week, because we have a part 2 to the Denis Ortiz situation with the Warhammer. We're gonna paint and have some more fun. And we might have a little tutorial with Uspa. Thank you. Maybe, please, yes. Before we leave, comment, like, subscribe for our YouTube channel and Instagram for some behind the scenes.
Got any comments? Want to give your opinion on anything that happened today? Go to our YouTube, check the comments below. We want to hear from you.
Shameless plug, number 1. I'm Rebecca Butler. My Instagram is Quirky Owl Cosplay. If you want to see more cool things like this bad boy, give me a follow.
And I am Asha Tanner. You can find me at Rente Cosplay on Instagram. And this is my lovely beauty.
Check us out.